Evil. Just the sound of the word carries weight. It's not always easy to define, yet we recognize it when it's near. Sometimes we don't even need to see it. We can feel it. A shift in energy, a whisper of something wrong. The truth about evil? It rarely looks like what we expect. It doesn't show up with flashing red lights or a warning sign. It hides in plain sight, disguised in friendly faces, warm smiles, and carefully chosen words. It wears masks of kindness, of charm, of trust. It's the smiling neighbor, the respected leader, the friend who always seems to have your back, until you see through the act. And that's where things change. Evil doesn't operate in the shadows. It thrives in places we feel safest. Schools, places of worship, offices, even in the homes of people we love. It seeps into spaces where trust is freely given, manipulating, twisting, and controlling from within. That's what makes it dangerous. But here's the thing. Evil doesn't just exist quietly. It watches, it studies, it waits. And when you finally see it for what it is, when you recognize the truth behind the mask, it doesn't disappear. It reacts, and not in the way you might expect. Evil rarely fights with brute force. Instead, it moves with precision. It twists words. It shifts blame. It makes you question what you know to be true. It doesn't need weapons. It wields doubt, fear, and confusion like a blade. And when it realizes you've figured it out, it turns its tactics up a notch. There's an old saying, the most dangerous enemy is the one who feels exposed. That's exactly what happens when evil is caught. It doesn't retreat. It strikes. But not with fists, with manipulation, with subtle threats, with a war on your mind, your emotions, your sense of reality. So what do? The ancient Stoics had a simple answer. Know thy enemy. Understanding evil is the first step to defeating it. Not through fear, not through anger, but through clarity, through wisdom, through a mind so steady that no amount of manipulation can shake it. In this video, we're going to break down 7 things evil people do when they know you've seen the truth. 7 specific tactics they use to keep control. 7 behaviors designed to keep you in check. This isn't just about spotting the signs. It's about knowing how to respond, how to stay calm, how to hold your ground. Because once you see evil for what it is, you have power. And power is the one thing it fears most. Let's dive in. 1. When their energy feels off, trust your gut. You ever walk into a room and feel something's just wrong? No words, no obvious reason, just an invisible weight pressing down on you. That's not paranoia, that's instinct. The body has a way of picking up on things long before the mind catches up. And when someone carries bad intentions, you don't just see it, you feel it. We live in a world made of energy. Every person, every place, every interaction, it all carries a certain frequency. Some people radiate warmth, some bring a sense of calm. And then there are those who make the air feel heavy, like a storm's about to break. Evil doesn't always announce itself. It moves quietly, like a shadow in the corner of your vision, only noticed when you finally turn your head. When you figure out the truth about someone, when you see through the act, they don't always lash out immediately. Sometimes, the first thing they do is let their energy shift. You'll notice it in the way they look at you, the way they speak. The air around them feels different, like a snake coiling before a strike. You might start to question yourself. Am I imagining this? Were they always like this? Am I just overthinking? But deep down, you know the answer. That discomfort in your gut is a message. Pay attention. Toxic people are skilled in deception. They know how to manipulate a room, how to turn words into weapons, how to smile with sharp edges hidden beneath. And when they realize you've figured them out, They don't always confront you head-on. That would be too obvious. Instead, they switch tactics. Their questions feel different now, less friendly, more probing. Their laughter doesn't sound the same. It's forced, rehearsed. Maybe they start watching you a little too closely. Maybe they bring up things that make you wonder if they're testing you, seeing how much you really know. Every word, every glance, every pause in conversation starts carrying weight. I've seen this firsthand. A former co-worker, someone I once trusted, started acting different the moment they realized I was no longer fooled. At first, it was subtle. Their energy shifted. The air between us felt colder. Then came the strange questions, the sudden interest in my every move, the whispers behind my back. They weren't looking for a fight. They were looking for control. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And that's the key here. The moment you let their energy shake you, they win. That's what they want, to make you doubt yourself, to throw you off balance. But here's the truth. Bad energy only has power if you let it in. When someone gives off those strange vibrations, don't ignore them. Don't second-guess yourself. But don't react either. Just watch. Let them reveal themselves. Stay grounded in your own truth. That's how you disarm them, not by fighting, not by explaining yourself, but by standing firm in what you know. Imagine a tree in a storm. The wind howls, the rain crashes down, but the roots hold deep in the earth. That's you. Their energy may try to shake you, but you don't move. You don't have to. Because in the end, storms pass. And when they do, only the strongest still stand. So, have you ever felt this? That eerie shift, that sudden weight in the air when someone's mask starts slipping? What did you do? How did you handle it? Share your story. The more we learn from each other, the stronger we become. 2. When one lie isn't enough, they build a house of deception. Lies are never told just once. A single lie is like a crack in a dam. It spreads, it deepens, and before long, the entire structure collapses. That's why liars don't stop at one. They stack lie upon lie, hoping the weight of deception will bury the truth forever. But here's the problem. The more they lie, the weaker their foundation becomes. And when you uncover their first falsehood, they don't stop. They double down. This is the nature of the deceitful. They don't just twist words to manipulate others, they weave themselves into a prison of their own making. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This is the liar's curse. They don't just deceive you, they deceive themselves. The truth is a threat, and instead of facing it, they run deeper into the darkness, spinning more stories to keep the illusion alive. If you've ever caught someone in a lie, you know exactly how this plays out. First comes the denial, a flat-out rejection of reality, as if words alone can erase the evidence. Then, when that fails, they twist the story. "You misunderstood. That's not what I meant. You're overreacting." And if those don't work, they turn to blame, shifting attention onto you, onto circumstances, onto anything but the truth. But why do they do this? Why not just admit the lie and move on? Because for people like this, lying isn't just about escaping a single mistake. It's about control. The truth makes them vulnerable. It strips away their power. And to them, admitting they were wrong isn't just an apology. It's a defeat. I once had a friend I trusted completely. He came to me, desperate, claiming he was in financial trouble. He needed help, just a small loan to get him through a tough time. Without hesitation, I gave it to him. And for a while, I believed I had done the right thing. But the truth has a way of revealing itself. It wasn't long before I found out that the money hadn't gone to what he claimed. There was no financial hardship, only reckless spending, indulgence, and a trail of excuses. When I confronted him, I expected honesty, or at least regret. Instead, I got another story. A lie to cover the first lie, then another, and another. He didn't just refuse to admit the truth, he made me feel guilty for even asking. That's when I learned an important lesson. Some people don't see trust as something to honor. They see it as something to exploit. Liars don't just betray others, they betray themselves. With every lie, they lose a piece of reality, slipping further into a world where truth is something to be hidden, not faced. But the truth has patience. It waits. And no matter how many layers of deceit they build, eventually, the foundation cracks. The question is, how do you deal with someone like this? Do you argue? Demand the truth? Try to make them see reason? The Stoics had a different approach. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The trick isn't to fight their lies with frustration. It's to stay grounded in what you know. A liar's greatest weapon isn't the falsehood itself. It's your reaction. They want you angry, confused, desperate to prove them wrong. That's how they regain control. But when you see through them, when you refuse to be baited into their game, their power over you begins to fade. So the next time you catch someone in a lie, don't chase the truth from them. They won't give it to you. Just watch. Let their own words betray them. The web they weave will trap them in the end. And you? You'll walk away free, untouched by their deception, standing in the only thing that matters: the truth. 3. When they only show up. When it benefits them, it's time to walk away. Ever feel like someone only remembers you when they need something? Like you're just a stop along their journey, a convenience, not a priority? They come around with warm smiles, sweet words, and promises of loyalty. But the moment they get what they want, they disappear. No explanations, no second thoughts, just gone. It makes you wonder, were they ever really there for you? Or were they just there for what you could offer? People like this don't build relationships, they use them. They don't invest in real connections because they're too busy calculating what they can take. And the moment they realize you've caught on, their moves become even more deliberate. They'll try harder to seem genuine, to convince you they've always been in your corner. But look closer, and the pattern is clear. They only show up when it serves them. You've probably seen this before. The friend who disappears when you're struggling, but suddenly reappears when they need a favor. The coworker who's all support and encouragement until you need their help. The person who vanishes when times get tough, but comes back with rehearsed excuses when the storm has passed. And the worst part? They always have a way of making it seem unintentional. I was going through something. I didn't want to overwhelm you. I didn't realize you needed me. But deep down, you know the truth. They weren't absent because they couldn't be there. They were absent because they chose not to be. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the mindset that sets you free. Don't waste time trying to make people like this see their flaws. Don't argue. Don't beg for their loyalty. Simply be the person you expect others to be, and let their actions speak for themselves. I've seen this firsthand. There was a coworker I once trusted, someone I thought was genuinely on my side. He was always there to lend a hand, always ready with advice. But when I faced real trouble, when I needed someone to stand with me, he was silent. No messages, no concern, just distance. Then, when everything blew over, he came back with the usual script. "Oh, I didn't want to add to your stress. I thought you had it under control." That's when I learned something important. People's loyalty isn't proven when things are easy. It's proven when things are hard. And if someone only shows up when life is smooth, they were never truly there to begin with. So, how do you handle people like this? Should you confront them? Cut them off? Give them another chance? The Stoics had a simple answer. Don't let it disturb your peace. You can't control their behavior, but you can control how much access they have to your life. Instead of holding on to resentment, see it for what it is: clarity. Their absence isn't a loss. It's a gift. It's the universe showing you exactly who they are before you waste more time on them. Real connections are built on mutual care, not convenience. And when someone values you, they don't just appear when it's beneficial. They stand beside you even when there's nothing to gain. So ask yourself, who's really in your corner? Who's still there when you have nothing to offer but your presence? Those are the people who matter. And as for the rest, let them come and go. Just don't open the door when they return. 4. When they make you feel small, stand taller. You ever share something personal, your struggles, your mistakes, only to be met with a smirk and words that cut deeper than you expected? Why didn't you see that coming? What were you thinking? Anyone would have known better. They don't sound like insults at first, but they leave you feeling stupid, ashamed, and second-guessing yourself. That's no accident. That's a tactic. Toxic people don't want to lift you up. They want to keep you in doubt, stuck questioning yourself, because the more you doubt your own thoughts, the easier it is for them to manipulate you. When they make you feel small, they gain power. And when they act like they're just giving honest advice, they can disguise their control as concern. But pay attention. Real friends offer wisdom to help you grow, not words that leave you feeling worthless. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the key to breaking free. They can mock you, they can dismiss you, but their words only have power if you let them in. A strong mind doesn't crumble just because someone else throws stones. It stands tall, knowing its worth comes from within. I once knew someone like this. A so-called friend who always made me feel like I wasn't thinking far enough ahead, that my decisions weren't smart enough. Every time I shared an idea, he'd smirk and say, "That's so obvious." It started getting to me. I found myself holding back, afraid to say the wrong thing. But then I realized, why was I letting someone who had nothing to offer dictate how I saw myself? The moment I stopped reacting, his words lost their sting. That's the secret. When someone tries to make you feel small, don't fight them. Just refuse to shrink. Your value isn't measured by their opinions, their mockery, or their attempts to make you doubt yourself. It's measured by how you rise, how you hold your ground, how you refuse to let anyone steal your confidence. So the next time someone tries to tear you down with subtle jabs, don't argue, don't explain, don't seek their approval. Just stand firm. Because the strongest people are the ones who no longer need to prove themselves. 5. When they can't change the truth, they try to change their image. You ever catch someone in a lie only to watch them suddenly become a whole new person? Not a genuine transformation, just a new act, a different mask, another carefully crafted version of themselves. When people who thrive on deception realize you've seen through them, they don't own up to their actions. They rewrite the story. They don't fix their character. They fix their reputation. Deceptive people don't just manipulate situations. They manipulate perception. If they can't convince you they were right, they'll convince you that you were wrong, that you misunderstood, that you were too harsh. And just like that, doubt creeps in. They come back with emotional stories, tales of personal growth, excuses wrapped in just enough truth to sound believable. Maybe they tell you they've changed, Maybe they paint themselves as a victim of circumstance. Maybe they even admit to some wrongdoing, but only enough to make you feel guilty for ever doubting them. They don't seek redemption, they seek control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Evil people understand this. If they can shape how you think about them, they can shape how you see them. And if they succeed, you start questioning what you once knew for sure. I've seen this firsthand. A person I once trusted turned out to be nothing but deceitful. When the truth came out, I expected honesty, maybe even remorse. Instead, they came back with a new story, a new image, a fresh narrative designed to make me wonder if I had been too quick to judge. For a while, I almost believed it. But then I realized every word, every excuse was just another layer of deception. So how do you deal with someone like this? Do you argue? Do you try to prove that you were right all along? You see them for who they are, and you do not waver. They can change their story 1,000 times, but the truth doesn't bend. If something feels off, trust that feeling. If their words and actions don't align, trust the actions. When people truly change, they don't need to convince you. They show you. And if someone is trying too hard to make you forget the past, it's because they haven't really left it behind. 6. When they pretend to be innocent, but you know the truth. You ever confront someone about their actions, only for them to act completely clueless? They look you in the eye, shrug their shoulders, and say, "What are you talking about?" Or, "I had no idea you felt that way." And just like that, the conversation flips. Now you're the one second-guessing yourself. Am I overreacting? Did I misinterpret things? Was it really as bad as I thought? This is not just denial. This is manipulation at its finest. When toxic people get caught, they don't own up to their actions. They erase them. They rewrite history, pretend ignorance, and even cast themselves as the victim. Not because they're unaware of what they've done, but because they know exactly what they're doing. They'll say things like, "Oh, I had no idea you felt that way. Why didn't you say something sooner?" Making it seem like the problem was your lack of communication, not their behavior. I would never do something like that. You must have misunderstood. Planting the idea that your perception is flawed, not their actions. "Wow, I can't believe you think so poorly of me." Shifting the blame onto you, making you feel guilty for even bringing it up. This is psychological warfare. It's designed to make you question reality, doubt your own emotions, and eventually let them off the hook. And the more you try to explain yourself, the deeper you fall into their trap. Because here's the truth. They don't want to understand. They want to confuse. I once had a so-called friend who took advantage of my kindness. At first, I brushed off the small things. But eventually, the pattern became too obvious to ignore. When I finally confronted them, they didn't get defensive or angry. Instead, they played the fool. "Oh no, I never meant to do that. I thought we were fine. Why didn't you say something earlier?" And in that moment, something strange happened. I started doubting myself. Was I overreacting? Was it really that serious? Had I been too harsh? But later, I realized what was really happening. They weren't clueless. They were dodging responsibility by making me feel like the problem. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is what Stoicism teaches us. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you react. When someone feigns innocence to escape accountability, don't fall into the trap of explaining yourself over and over. The more you engage, the more power you give them. So how do you handle someone like this? You trust what you know. You stand firm in your reality. You don't let their games shake your confidence. Because here's the thing, when someone truly doesn't mean harm, they listen, they reflect, they acknowledge their mistakes. But when someone only cares about avoiding consequences, they deflect, manipulate, and twist the truth. And that's how you tell the difference. The moment you stop seeking their validation, the moment you stop trying to prove that you're right, is the moment their power over you disappears. You don't need their admission to know the truth. You already know. And that is enough. 7. When they pull the strings, cut the cord. Manipulation is never obvious at first. It doesn't come with force or threats. It comes wrapped in kindness, disguised as care. The ones who manipulate you don't take control with aggression. They do it subtly, making you doubt yourself until you unknowingly hand over your freedom. They check in on you, offer advice, and insist they only want what's best. But listen closely. Their words don't build you up. They make you question yourself. Are you sure you can handle this? Don't make the same mistakes again. You're not ready yet. It sounds like concern, but it plants a seed of fear, a hesitation that wasn't there before. Manipulators don't just find your weaknesses, they use them against you. A controlling partner convinces you that you need them. A toxic friend makes you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. A deceptive mentor makes you believe that without their guidance, you'll fail. And the more you believe them, the more power they take. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't just about choices, it's about your mind. The moment you stop looking to others for validation, their influence over you crumbles. So when they try to pull the strings, cut the cord, take back control, and never let anyone make you question your own strength.